I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and I am very excited because we have two guests today. Back last February at Broadway Con, I learned about the Broadway Theatre of Pitman, New Jersey's productions of Cats that is going on right now when we're recording this, and I am very glad to have been able to see the show and have the Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer duo here today. So welcome. Adam Andrews and Jadyn Kelly, thank you for joining me.
Yay! Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
I'm thrilled.
I cannot wait, and we'll get into why. There's a reason why I'm very excited for you two in particular, but go ahead, Adam. You were going to say something. Jump in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have been a fan of this podcast before we started the production, so I'm very happy and honored to be a guest.
And we want to warn you, you got real life Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer here, so we could talk for hours. We're a crazy pair and a crazy duo, so we're excited to take on this together, for sure.
We do have the gift of the gab, if you will.
Yeah, I love it. So let's start then at the beginning, because clearly you are Cats fans prior to being in this production. So take me to the beginning. When was the beginning of that jellicle journey for you?
I can go first. I grew up in Indiana, and I first saw Cats, I can't remember exactly what year, but I was around 5 or 6 years old, maybe. I saw it at a dinner theater called Beef and Boards near like Indianapolis, Indiana. And one of my teachers was playing Bomb Ballerina. I went to go see it. I was sitting in the front row, and the Rum Tum Tugger, my seat was like one of the ones that he got to dance with. And so this was like my first experience with live theater, and I'd already been a theater kid, but this was really like, this was my parents taking me to, or my mom taking me to see it with one of my best friends and getting to like get up and dance with one of the cast members. And I was like, I need to be in this show when I'm older. Like, it was an absolute dream. But then as like I grew up doing theater, it kind of Cats left me a little bit. I never really listened to it a lot. And then it wasn't until I was a senior in high school and I did a production of A Chorus Line under direction of Jacob Brent, who was the magical Mr. Mistopheles. And sometime after rehearsal, we would all just go and watch his videos of, you know, being that character, and his conjuring turns were to die for. And so watching that and then having his influence, him really being a mentor to me and rediscovering the love for Cats. And growing up as a dancer, it's like the two shows you want on your resume are A Chorus Line and Cats. So checking off A Chorus Line was great. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do Cats. This is an absolute dream. And then getting the opportunity, seeing that a theater about an hour from where we go to school was doing it, I made sure that my school schedule, I didn't have rehearsal anytime after 4:30, so we could get to rehearsal by 6 and I could do the show. And I'm so thankful to have gotten cast. And it worked out that we were friends before we go to school together. So it really was nice getting cast together. But we'll talk about that later. I'll pass it over to Adam.
So I have been a Cats fan since I've gotten into theater because my grandma was really into Cats, and I was trying to pick a song to sing for this like solo concert in my middle school. And so I was like, what song should I sing? And then I saw a clip of Memory from the pro shot, and I was like, I need to sing Memory. And I dressed up as Grisabella in front of the entire middle school, and mind you, I was the only one in costume who sang that night. And I sang Memory, and it was really like, it probably wasn't as great as CCR Grisabella, but I would like to say it was one of my memorable performances. And then from that, I fell in love with Cats. So I watched the pro shot, and I was like, I need to play Mungojerrie when I grow up. Mungojerrie was my dream role from Cats. I wanted to be him so bad. I loved his number. I thought, like, the way that Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer have to work together was just so fascinating to watch. And so I was in love with cats, and then one thing led to another, and I saw the Cats revival in, when was that? Whenever that went up.
2016.
Yes, I was going to say 2016, but I didn't want to be wrong. And my parents took me to see Cats, and we sat all the way in the back row of the balcony, literally touching the wall, and I still felt like I was on stage with the Cats, and I just fell in love with it even more. And I stage door, and I got to talk to like the actors playing the Cats, and that really inspired me too as a performer, because they just like encouraged me to keep going as a performer, especially at that young age. So yeah, I've been a Cats fan, and I've been wanting to play Mungojerrie like since I've wanted to do theater. So it's really, really special to me that I get to play this role.
I love it. Okay, so Jadyn, I don't know if you realize that I grew up down the street from Beef and Boards.
No
and
way.
My whole family still lives there, so we'll have an Indiana powwow after we finish recording.
That's crazy.
It's also
Small world.
Cats is coming to Beef and Boards next year.
It is. I saw that. I was like, I might have to go back there.
I know. I got sent it by every single person I know in Indiana, and I have it on my list still of like, when's the time to reach out to them to be like, I'm ready to talk to your cast whenever you cast everybody.
Well, if I get cast in it, bring me back, I guess, with the whole
ready to go. I love Beef and Boards. Shout out to the Hoosiers on the north side.
Yeah, go Hoosiers.
Because I actually saw a lot of theater there growing up, on top of the 5 or 6 shows that come through on national tours every year. And recently went to see Sound of Music there with my niece and nephew. So I'm awesome. A Beef and Boards stan, minus the food's a little suspect, but it's a fun place.
It's all about the show. That's what I go for anyway. I don't care. I'm eating up their performances, not the food.
Exactly. Okay, so before we talk about your production, because I did get to see, I got to saw it this past weekend. I was able to go. I want to talk a little bit about how I found out about you all getting cast. So there were 2 things. One is I've obviously had Nina on the show. So Nina, I was very hopeful that she got cast because I knew she was outside of Philly and I knew she was auditioning. And then I saw that she did. But on TikTok, one day, randomly, I'm watching, and all of a sudden I see somebody running on a treadmill, and it's the trend where it's like, they think I'm listening to this, but I'm actually listening to this. And I was like, does that say the wrong cat died? I was like blown away, confused and blown away, because at that point, I had no idea you were cast. And so I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I was like, again, it just showed up, because I don't think at that point you had tagged me. And so that's how I learned that you were in the show, and was so excited to hear, because I'd heard regional productions over the years using the show as like a research method of being able to hear from other people, which is, again, really a cool part of this thing that I didn't expect. But I love hearing that both of you were listening before and were fans, because that's honored that that's the case. So now you're going to get to add to this lore, and you're going to be part of this.
So excited. We're so excited. It was, I think when I posted that TikTok, we had only had we'd only had 2 days of rehearsal, and our first 2 days of rehearsal was our director, Tyler, you were having later on the podcast. And we are so excited for that one, because honestly, Cats with Tyler is the reason why I fell in love with the show so much more than I was to begin with. Just hearing his perspective of it, I don't want to spoil anything because I'm going to let him talk about that. But he is so knowledgeable about the show and has been a fan since he was so young. So hearing from him was really awesome. And he recommended this show. So it was the day after our second rehearsal, where we had just gone over all the history of Cats and the history of our characters, and, gotten our 3 words and gotten to explore that a little bit. And my best friend Kate and I, who is also in this production of Cats, she plays Jelly Lorem, we went to the gym together, and we had our separate workout routines, but both of us were like, we're gonna listen to The Wrong Cat Died today, aren't we? And we're like, yeah. And so I don't know if we were listening to the same episodes I think she had maybe listened a little bit before me, so was a couple episodes ahead of me, and I had just started while I was at the gym, and that's what got me through the Stairmaster. Like, I needed something that was going to keep me going, and I could have stayed on that Stairmaster forever because I truly could listen to this podcast forever. It's so interesting, and especially having, been in rehearsal just for a few days and having a basic understanding of the show was really cool to listen to from that perspective.
Did you start with the first episodes where I was explaining characters from the beginning? Did you start with okay.
I started at the very beginning.
Same.
And then I jumped around a little bit once I got through the first 10. And then I jumped around to see, we skipped to our episode pretty early and listened to a few of other Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazers talking, and then with our carpool group as well, because we're commuting. We both are musical theater students at Rider University. Go Bronx.
Go Bronx, y'all.
So our commute to Pitman is, with traffic on the weekdays, is about an hour and a half. But
Wow.
there are 6 people from Rider, including us, who are in the show. So we would just rotate through listening to other people's characters. And that was really cool too, getting to hear podcasts about characters that we aren't playing, but we do interact with in the show. And that allowed for us to form some connections with other characters, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I've been such a Cats fan that I've had this knowledge of all these different characters and all their side plots and lore. And I love the niche fandom that is Cats, and I've been a part of that. So listening to The Wrong Cat Died and getting to hear all these different ideas and theories about the different cats, I loved it. And I thought it was so interesting. And it helped me as a performer too.
It's kind of fascinating because I've actually thought a lot about this. Those 10 episodes were supposed to be it.
I know, that's crazy. And now here we are.
And here we are. But it started with, I knew very little. So I am afraid to actually listen back to those first 10 episodes because I'm I don't even know if what I'm saying is right. In the first 3, I couldn't have told you the character names of the last 8.
There were a couple moments a little bit, but it was funny. It would make us giggle. The one you were talking about Victoria and you didn't know her name and you were some insignificant white cat, but I'm she's so significant because she's the one who accepts Grisabella, and it was just, we were listening and we were giggling, and you could tell, it was, you prefaced in the very beginning I had no idea about it.
Are you
that was the intent?
Are you a theater kid, would you say, or do you like musicals, or is it I like cats?
So it's actually the reverse. It's a very kind of wild thing on the whole way through, and I've been on a few other other people's podcasts to talk about the more of the my side of it versus the cat side of it. I grew up going to theater, but in Indiana where you get a few shows a year. So it's I went to The Lion King and I went to Sound of Music. I didn't grow up niche. I did not do any theater. I didn't sing. I guess I sang choir in elementary school when they forced you, but I wasn't a singer. I wasn't a performer. I grew up playing travel hockey. I grew up pretty super into the sports world. I went to every Indiana Pacers game. I grew up playing travel. I was not a theater person. When I moved to New York, I do love live events. And so I lived in the theater district when I first moved. And so I went to a lot. And so that was kind of fun to be in the heart of it and be able to just say, it's Tuesday night. I just finished work. I can get a ticket for really cheap because it's lottery or Rush or something like that. And I would go, and I found that very fascinating. My mom is a music teacher, so I did I have some basic knowledge of that, but not by any means, didn't study it, wasn't part of it, and had never seen Cats until the revival. And so where Cats and I kind of merged is I did humor writing for a long time, and I really like the idea of what Cats opened up from a humor writing standpoint and just from a comedic standpoint in general.
Right.
And so that's why if you listen to those first 10 episodes, the general idea was, I don't know Cats. I've seen it once. I firmly believe it ends wrong. Let me tell you from an outsider's perspective what I'm interpreting this to be. And as it went, that's why I'm horrified of those first 10 episodes. I've actually thought about re-recording them now that I know way too much. But it started with that, and then it got about halfway through when there was a couple people on tour, and then Christopher Gurr, who was Gus in 2016, just started kind of coming up and being I can answer these questions for you. And that is what spun this to what it is today, where I was fascinated by there's a plot, but I was fascinated by the idea that nothing could be 100% true pretty much in any way. So when we get into we'll get into your Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer. I've heard directly from multiple different Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazers, different versions of how they play that relationship. And I love the idea that can be done so many different ways and doesn't really change the whole thing. But at the same time, you could change the whole thing for the people that are paying the most attention or know cats super well. And so that's kind of how I dug in and why I've been able to continue, is because we can have this conversation and it doesn't feel repetitive to me, and hopefully isn't repetitive to the listeners, because you're hearing how your cast of, in Pitman is doing this. That's different than the Beef and Boards cast you saw, which I'm pretty sure I interviewed someone who did that production. So, it's like that version was different than the Fulton version, which is different than what I saw on International Tour, which is different than what you did. And that to me is what's cool about Cats, is that it is wildly different in any way, and you can have these conversations and it adds to the lore.
I completely agree with that. And for me, I love Cats so much because every show is different. And even in our own production, I feel like every single night is a different performance, because when you're on stage as the cat, you're kind of improving your cat movements and your cat relationships to other cats as the show goes on, which makes the show so interesting to watch, because it is the definition of live theater. Like, everything's happening in the moment. And I just think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really great, especially, what Adam was saying with this production. There's so many moments, yes, like there are all our choreographed numbers, but in between, when we're crawling to our different places, like, we interact differently every night. How I react with Cassandra in one moment might be different the next, because I'm feeling different as like me, myself, Jadyn as an actor, or how I'm physically reacting is different. And I just think that, we're such theater nerds. We love live theater. I get emotional every night just when I'm sitting and watching people, play their cat and being like, oh my gosh, I get to do this as a career. This is so wonderful. And it feels so fresh.
And to jump off of what Jadyn is saying, not only is like the performance of how we act as cats can be different every night, but I like the book and the songs of Cats. They can take on a different meaning for everyone. And I think it's so cool that something with such a, I don't want to say a loose plot, because I firmly believe that there's a plot to Cats, but I think with something that's so metaphorical and uses like poetry language, how like you can interpret that different. And like, even in the show, I'll listen to lyrics as I'm just sitting there as a cat, and I'll be like, oh, I never realized like this could mean this as well, about the different cats and creating those relationships.
Completely. Yeah, there is a plot. There is a very clear
100%.
plot, but there's a lot of unspoken unknowns. And I think that's where, as performers, it has to be super fun to be able to create some of that and change that. And I love when I talk to people, you're still doing this. So I'm like, I can give you theories and it might change how you perform next weekend.
Which I
Exactly.
love.
No,
It's
exactly.
so exciting.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. But let's get into your Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer. How are you playing it from a relationship standpoint?
We're playing it as twins.
Yes.
Twins. Okay.
Yes.
And then who's the other relationships you're playing? Like, is there a mom? Is there like, how are you thinking about all of that?
Yes.
Yes. We actually have decided, well, this goes back to Tyler, our director, who's a huge cat fan. He knows cats like nobody knows cats that I've ever met. And he created a whole tracking sheet of like almost a family tree of the cats. And we actually were talking about it in rehearsals, and we were like, I think that Jenny Anydots is Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer's mother, because think about it, she's always trying to like make sure the other cats are on their best behavior and like make sure everything's tidy and proper. And she's also an orange cat as well in our production. So we were like, that's an interesting theory, that Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, who are like the troublemakers, are the offspring of this cat who's so
put together and type 1 and very much. So yeah, Tyler was like, because obviously there have been versions where like Jelly Lorem is their mom or Jenny, and so we played around, like we talked. Again, the girl playing Jenny Anydots is our friend Ariana, who we also carpool with, who goes to Ryder.
Her.
So when Tyler was like, okay, you could play it as like Jenny being their mom or Jelly. Jelly's also my best friend Kate, who I mentioned earlier. So we're like, well, this is nice. We all already have a friendship and a relationship. So we started to explore that more throughout the process. And honestly, some of our characters, like once we got into costume, was really when some other relationships began to form.
Yes, I agree.
So the way we play it is our Jelly is the mother to etc., because they actually quite look alike in their costumes and they actually interact quite a bit throughout the show. So we're like, okay, let's play it that way. And something new that we just added this past weekend that had been kind of unspoken, but then we actually decided we're going to implement it, is that Pouncival is our little brother. Because Pouncival was like, well, I've been playing it that Jenny's my mom. And we're like, oh.
Well,
wait,
then
you
we're
have
related.
Okay, that makes you our little brother then. Well, if Jenny's your mom, that makes you our little brother. So let's play around with that. And actually at the end, Pouncival is, I mean, it explains because Pouncival in our production, you know, and a lot of other productions, is the one who's kind of teasing Grisabella and not being very nice to her, pranks her by reaching out his paw, and then she goes to reach in and he slaps it away. That's pretty Mungojerrie Rumpleteazer behavior there with the pranking. And so we had that exploration in there. And then at the end, Pouncival is actually the last one to get up when we're all greeting Grisabella. And we added it that we're right in front of Tyler, who played Pouncival. And we turn to him and we nod to him and we're telling him, like, it's okay, you can accept her. And so we had already been doing that just because our formations were right next to him. But then once we discovered that, oh, you've been playing it that Jenny's your mom, so let's play into that even more. We can lean into it. And it put a smile on my face when we added it for the first time and we looked at him and he smiled back at us. And I was like, oh, wait, that's sweet.
My favorite manifestation of these relationships that we are creating is the one with Jenny Anydots when we are in Gus the Theater Cat.
I know exactly
There's the lyric
what you're about to say.
Where Jelly says, a tooth full of gin. And I always like tap Ariana, who plays Jenny, and I'm like, me and Rumpleteazer, we want a tooth full of gin.
Yeah.
And then she's always like, no, kittens, like stop. And then we do like
we kind of
arch
pout.
Our backs,
we pout.
Like we pout. And another like moment that I love where it's like she's taking on that motherly role of us is whenever there's a McCavity scare, I kind of turn to Ariana to be like, what should I do? Like, should I run?
Mm-hmm.
Should I fight? And she always gives me like a little gesture to like get out of the junkyard. Yeah.
As well as with Grisabella, at that last moment, right before Grisabella sings Memory, she comes on stage and Adam and I both look at Jenny and Jenny nods no to us and tells us to leave. So we go back to our dresser and we lay down and we don't look at Grisabella until obviously she convinces us to turn around. But that's another moment. So we definitely have added moments, which I think have been super helpful in adding the in-between moments that aren't in the script. One thing I really love, my goal in life is really like swing and ensemble work. And I know it's very similar for Adam as well.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things about being in an ensemble is getting to move past what's written. There's obviously not a lot written for ensemble characters. You have to create it yourself. And I think Cats is such an ensemble-based show. Yes, all of us have names, but there's so much room for creative freedom in that, which I've really loved being able to explore. And a lot of our ideas actually have stemmed from listening to your podcast and listening to all the theories and taking bits and pieces from each one, as well as talking to our director, Tyler, talking with each other. And I think we also brought pieces of ourself into the character.
Oh, definitely.
Because we go to school together. And we were friends before, but we have definitely gotten very, very close throughout this production. Once we decided to play it as twins, it became our friendship got closer, but also that made our twins as Cats also best friends. So that was really nice to be able to explore that on stage. And also those partner cartwheels, because yes, we do the partner cartwheels and we'll talk about our process with learning those, but it's very it's much needed to have someone that you trust to do something that physically like exhausting and putting that much energy into it, and having someone I could trust was really nice. And it did take us a bit to actually get it technically wise, but we always had that. We were like, let's just fully put our trust into each other, and that's the only way that these characters are going to come across as twins and as best friends, because you do need that connection.
And with what Jadyn said, like, I'm so happy that Jadyn is Rumpleteazer and I'm Mungojerrie, because we've already had that like prior connection, but this just really strengthened it. And for these two roles specifically, just like Corcopat and Tantamile, like you need to work together almost the entire show, and you need to like come up with things together, and that is just like, it really is a process of trust and also like friendship. Like, it's nice that we have that friendship.
For sure. We definitely play into the twin telepathy quite a lot in the show, which is helpful when you are friends with the person playing your twin.
Yeah. So since you're playing it as twins and not as love interests, because that is the other version I've heard a lot of, do you play any other love interests with other characters?
We do.
Okay.
You need to talk about your love interest with Rum Tum Tugger.
Oh, yes. So obviously we have the Bomb Ballerina and Rum Tum Tugger bit. And within that, they are a couple, but they're kind of on and off. You know.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me your production gave me hard Tugger and Mistopheles vibes, because that number they joined together.
Yes.
Like
okay.
they pop in together. I was excited by that. I thought that was great.
We actually, there is more of like a playfulness, because we kind of shut down Tugstopheles because we are playing it as Mistopheles being old dude's third, son. But Tugger obviously doesn't know that. Mistopheles doesn't know that. I think there's a lot of creative freedom within our production, and we wanted to leave a lot of room for interpretation in terms of the relationship. There's definitely the Tugger and the Bomb, but Tugger's not as interested in Bomb as Bomb is interested in Tugger. We have Cassandra, who's also interested in Tugger, so that created some fighting between Cassandra and Bomb Ballerina, which you see a lot in Rum Tum Tugger, but also one of my favorite bits that our Bomb Ballerina Devin added was at the end when Mistopheles is picking someone to, go under the red curtain, and old dude appears in place, and Mistopheles picks Cassandra. Devin, who played our Bomb Ballerina, is like waving her paw and being like, oh my gosh, pick me, pick me, pick me. And then he does it. He picks Cassandra, and she is pissed off. Yeah, and she so plays funny. That. And the first time we ever ran through that and she did that, all of us like broke on stage. We all were laughing. It was so funny. And she did that pretty on in the rehearsal process. I think, honestly, the first time we ever did it. And it worked so well that it stuck. But I'm playing it as my character has a big fat crush on Rum Tum Tugger. And it's not like an actual relationship. He flirts with me. He teases me. But we added that at the end of, or throughout the number of Rum Tum Tugger. Mungojerrie discovers Rumpleteazer's obsession and is not very happy about it.
Okay. Little brotherly protection there.
Exactly. Because, we all know Rum Tum Tugger is like kind of, I don't want to say mean words on here, but
yeah. I'm just looking out for my sister.
We know.
Looking out for my sister.
You know what I'm thinking, but
okay.
So that's how we wanted to play that, and that was something we created throughout the process. It wasn't something I initially decided on, and that was also something as I got closer to Jared, who's playing Rum Tum Tugger, and that was something I was like, hey, I'm gonna play with this a little bit if you wanna, roll with me on that and we can see where it goes. So a couple times he'll look at me during the show and wink at me, and that's just a fun thing that we added that no one else can see, but it added fun for our characters. But Adam can see it. Adam as Mungojerrie can see all those interactions and is not happy. So
I gotta look out for my sister.
Yes, it's all out of love. It's all out of looking after. And so throughout Rum Tum Tugger, I'm looking at him, and a couple times my tongue tongue comes out and I'm panting a little bit excitedly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Rum Tum Tugger's singing. And then at the end, when he's doing all his riffs and his hip circles and all the kittens are screaming, I'm in the corner kicking my legs like up and down. And Adam always will shove my legs down and give me the dirtiest glare ever. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And so then throughout the show, I'm a lot more careful to not be as obvious in my feelings towards Rum Tum Tugger because I don't want Adam to notice, or I don't want Mungojerrie to notice.
What I love about like cats is all of these relationships as an audience member, you would never know. Like you can guess, you can like make up your own theory, but it adds so much texture to the show and like nuance, and it makes the cats look like more natural cats because they have all these like relationships. I think it's just so interesting to like see all these people on stage and they're all doing like their own independent thing. And like, you don't know what it is, but it's just like, it leaves that like, that guessing, and that I love that.
I think it's what makes the show so unique. Not unique, because there's other shows that are like this, but for me, you can keep going back. Like I could go back and watch you all do this 20 more times, and I probably might not have caught that moment or caught that wink or all those different things. And it actually, one of my favorite moments of being there this past weekend was what happened to me in the audience, because this is where there's levels to cats, because you're at a place that has a lot of subscriptions where they're coming because they've bought the season and they know or don't know what cats were. And I had two very loud gentlemen behind me that right at your number, and I remember because they started talking about probably around Tugger, of like, they're asking questions to each other, and then they were pretty loud. And
they're like, what is going on right now?
And at your number, finally, one of the guys goes, I don't know what's going on. He's like, he goes, the costumes are great, the dancing's great, the singing's great. I have no idea what's happening. And so finally at intermission, I turned around and I was like, I can answer your questions. Like, what can I help you with? And I kind of explained to him just like, again, the loose plot. But there's that version of Cats, which is like, your first time you take it in, you're trying to decipher what in the world you're watching, which is a incredibly difficult thing if you don't have any context when you walk in the door. That's how I was the first time I saw it. I had the same reaction. Now they left when they saw it a long time ago, and that's why they were also confused, because they never got to Grisabella's moment. But they got again a taste of it after I told them what was going on. Then there's the fans, like the super fans, that can go in and know, ooh, if I watch at this moment, the twins are gonna turn a little, a second before everyone else. And I was really looking for, in you all at the very end, who's gonna turn around at what moment for Grisabella? Like, who's gonna be last? Who's gonna be first? Like, because I know that's not an orchestrated moment. It is when you all feel like it's time. And so there's that level of Cats too as well, that you can go in and see some of those things. And I think that's a really cool part of the show, is I could watch and track a different cat each night.
Exactly.
And get a different story. And also they're probably doing it different than how they did it last night, with tweaks, because obviously, the dance numbers and a lot of the stuff is the same, but they might be a little bit more towards this character today, or they might be a little bit more annoyed. And that's, you're all saying the friendships you all have. If one of you all bothers each other on that an hour and a half drive, you might have a little bit, like, true. Oh, I didn't like their song choices today. Like they, there's that level. And so many of the rumors that I've debunked from the fandom with talking to people who did it was just like, yeah, we were friends. Like, we were friends before and we were talking about something, and then somebody noticed it on stage that night and it became the thing that people were asking about. And so that is, to me, a cool part of Cats, and I think is what's such a fun thing for you all to get to do and interact with. So I want to ask you one more, and then I want to get a little bit into the Cartwheels, because I do think that I want to hear a little bit about that. How are you all playing the McCavity relationship? And I ask because when I first saw the mischief and everything, it felt like there was a want to be in the crime gang, but you're kind of like not, because you're the posh, coming from maybe a home, not actually crime ridden like him. But how are you all playing that with your cast?
So for Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, I actually just had a conversation with the cast on one of our breaks between shows, and I was like, so if Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer are stealing and like,
why do you like us?
why do you like us? Like, why do you still want us to be part of the tribe? And they said it's the humor that they bring to the tribe. And also, like, it's different than what Macavity's doing, because what we're doing is kind of petty theft and, like, mostly, like, stealing from, like, humans and our owners. So, like, it doesn't really affect them. But Macavity is, like, a villain who doesn't get along with the other cats. And I talked to our Grisabella, like, Cece, she is incredible.
She's so good.
And I was like, so what's your relationship as Grisabella with Macavity? Do you think she left the tribe because she got caught up with Macavity, whether it was lovers or if it was like, oh, honey, I'm going to make you a star. And if you come with me, like, was it that sort of thing? And she was like, I think that Macavity just led Grisabella down the wrong road. And there's still like so much in the air. I know Tyler was saying in the beginning of the process, he didn't want Macavity and Grizz to be like ex-lovers. Do you remember him saying that? So I think it's more of that, like, come with me and I'll make your dreams come true, but you're actually like a really horrible person.
Yeah.
Or a cat.
Okay.
Cat. Sorry.
Not person, cat.
And then my other question for y'all with that is do you have freedom to go mess with the audience, or are you limited when before your number?
We made that joke. So obviously we do go through the audience quite a bit throughout the show, and we made a joke to Tyler one day. We're like, everyone hide your purses because we're gonna be stealing some wallets. And we don't want the audience petting or touching us. We didn't want to touch any of their things because we didn't want them to, let them think they could pet us, because these wigs we got to keep the wigs intact.
For me, as Mungojerrie, the like audience interaction, like I don't do a lot. I go in the audience like twice as Mungojerrie, but I don't know if you know this. You know how there's the Macavity double that goes to the mezzanine to like scare right before Macavity? That's actually me.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So I would take off all my Mungojerrie stuff, and then I put on all my Macavity stuff, and I have to run around the theater, go up to the balcony, come to the mezzanine, and I always have fun because as Macavity, I can scare people. And just the show you came to, there was this older woman in the audience, and she screamed so loud. And I think it's so much from being the Macavity like double for like the magic of him appearing in the mezzanine and then appearing on stage. It's just like fun to go in the audience and scare. Like
this wasn't the lady in the box that somebody like before the beginning of Act 2 jumped on top of the box in the lower level and jumped up and like completely frightened this lady from behind. That was not that one?
No, that was, I don't know who, that was when we crawl around at the beginning, like during intermission.
Yeah.
No, this was from intermission. Green Eyes I was aware for, and I warned the people next to me because I was like, hey, they were on the aisle. I'm like, hey, just FYI, they're going to come through here. And I think they told them, like, they're going to come through here a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, they're going to be frequently in your face.
Yes.
And so, but this was in the beginning of Act 2. And it was funny because then those people either moved out of the front row or left. And so I was in the row by myself, and I was like having a blast because every time everyone would turn, like everyone's like trying to make a face with me, and I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. Like, I was like, I love this. And so
also,
it was really
everyone
fun.
knew that we were like, oh, Mike is coming today.
Mike is coming. He's wearing a pink sweatshirt that says I'm Angelical. And so we all were like, okay, we're gonna play around with that a little bit because he won't get freaked out like these people who don't know cats will.
Totally. And I was laughing because when I bought the tickets, it was pretty late in the process because I was trying to figure out when I could actually come. And I was trying to come originally to Halloween and couldn't figure out how to get there for the Friday show. And I had two friends with me, but there were not a lot of tickets left except for in the balcony.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I finally like called the box office and I was like, I think I'm buying. So we sat in 3 totally separate sections in 3 totally different areas. So I sat in that front row. My friend sat in the box in the front row. And then the one who had never seen it, we put him in like what I called like the best seat, but it was more like center orchestra with a better view. Cause I'm like, you should see it from back where you get the full experience of the whole the whole ensemble, the whole ball, everything. I'm like, you don't know it. I was like, you can stick me anywhere in there and I'll be fine. And my other friend had seen it a ton too. So that was kind of intentional. But I don't think I told anybody exactly where I was going to be. And I purposefully put myself as close as I could to the
we
stage.
loved it. That was wonderful.
The second, like, it wasn't the second I came up, but when I started dancing, I saw you and I was like, okay, now I know when and where I'm going to put in my little...
Well, it was fun because we pop out of the manhole right at the beginning.
Right in front of me.
Right at the beginning of Act 2. And we were like getting ready to pop out. And I was like, okay, we're going to look at him, right? Like we're going to stare at him. And so that was really fun. That's one of my favorite, honestly, that's one of my favorite moments that we have in the show is getting to pop out of that manhole. Because
it's so fun.
we can hear everyone's reactions to us popping out because we are right next to the audience.
My favorite was the other night. We pop out and this lady goes, ah, ha, ha, ha. That would have been a good picture.
Yeah. and then her husband, I turned to her and was like, you can't take pictures during the show. And she's like, I know, but it would have been a good picture. It was so funny. Another one was, I think it maybe was our opening night or it was opening weekend. And this man was sitting there and he goes, oh, not you two troublemakers again. We're gonna get ya. And it was so funny because every time I just want to give them like a little smirk or a little smile because it's just so funny. I love hearing their reactions to our mischief. We continue that mischief even in Act 2 when we aren't as, involved.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to figure out, I did not know you were coming through that area, but I did notice because I could see the smoke or whatever, like to come with you starting to like be, because I thought I was looking at the orchestra pit. And so I was like, oh, what's going on down there? Like there's something happening. And then you came out, I was like, oh, there's my answer to that.
There they are.
Yeah.
I love that moment.
Okay.
So fun.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Let's talk quickly about the cartwheels and then I want to get to the rapid fire because we got to get to the most important question. So I at first didn't know if you were going to do it. I thought I saw you all post a little bit about trying to learn it. And then I saw you do one flip. And I was like, oh, that's
a little sneaky.
Still super, super hard to do. But I was like, but it's at the end. And so then when you all started, I was like, I was pumped. Everyone's, going crazy. It is like, you are pretty decent sized height differences too. So like, how hard was that to like, what is that process to learn that?
We were like, so when we got casted as Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, I was like, I want to do the partner cartwheels. And I've never done the partner cartwheels with anybody. And like,
I'd done them one at a time. Like I've been both positions, but I've never done more than one in a row. Like I've been the bass before and I've been the one doing the cartwheel, but never back to back to back. So I was like, I know the basics of where I'm supposed to hold. But I was like, we have to do it. We have to learn. And
so we got into rehearsal for the number, and then our choreographer Heather she pulled out these mats, and she was like, "Are you ready?" And we were like, "Let's go for it. We're
like,
gonna learn
let's do it."
And of course, the first time we did it, we were falling all over the place and just like stumbling and like laughing it off. But we were so determined to get it because I think it's just the cherry on top to that number. So one day we were at school because we would go out and practice outside of rehearsal all the time.
One good thing about we go to school together, and since we both are musical theater majors, we get access to the dance spaces within Rider and we get to reserve them. So not just us, but all of our other cast members who go to Rider, we would reserve the spaces and just like do the Jellicle Ball together and do the opening number, just run over. And then Adam and I were like, one day where all of us were together, we're like, let's just try it.
And I was like, you know what we need to do? We need to just go for it. Like you need to have like the courage. It's more of like a mind game and like the courage to do it. And once like we did it, then it was like, oh my goodness, this is so much easier than we thought it was. Like, so it was so daunting at first.
It was very scary, the thought of it. And there was a lot of times when we were first learning it in rehearsal where I would like go put my hands up and I would go in and then I'd like squeak and be like, and like chicken out and get scared. And so it started off, how we first started was we just held the position. So I did the cartwheel and then I just stayed in the straddle while Adam held on to me and we just held it and we engaged our cores. We didn't move because I was like, if we have this position locked in, we never move from it. So as long as that is secure, that's all we need. So we started off just by holding it. They were like, okay, let's do one. Okay, now let's do I go and then you go. And then eventually got up. we obviously, like in the pro shot, they do 7. With our space on the stage, we did not have room for that. So we're like, if we can get in 5, that would be perfect. So in that rehearsal, we did 4 once. It looked bad. It was messy. Our legs were
We're
bent.
not straight at all.
Yeah, our legs were bent. We were hunched over. We're like, that looks horrible, but you know what? It's our first day. We'll get it. So then it just became, we practiced it a few times whenever we could. And then about a week went by after our last practice, and we were in the rehearsal space with our friends, and we were like, you know what? Let's just go for it. I was like, let's try 4. We haven't done this in a week. Let's go for 4. And Ariana is taking a video, and we go for 4. We're in the middle of the 4th one. It's going so well that I scream, do another one! And we do it, and we do the 5th, and we just start screaming and like jumping up and down, hugging each other. You
would have thought we won the lottery.
Yeah. We were so excited. And honestly, that one time of doing 5 was all we needed, because since then we've been able to do 5 every single time.
Yeah.
It was honestly a mind game of being like, now that we know, and then the more comfortable we get with it, the more we were able to straighten our legs, and the faster we were able to go, and the more momentum.
And also like make faces, like as we're doing it, make like silly faces, or like just like having more. It was the courage. It was really just a mind game of like getting it down. Once we were comfortable doing it, then like we could just do it over and over again. And now we keep joking about wanting to go out on campus green and just seeing how long we can go for. If we have unlimited space, I'm like, I wonder how many we could do, because I feel like it's a lot, because we're pretty secure in that position. Yeah, I feel very comfortable.
And the last one we do, because it's suspends a little bit with the music, we hold it, and I'm suspended in the air with my legs going kind of in slow motion, which adds a really cool dynamic to that as well, that not a lot of people do, because they're usually doing the 7 and then going right into the end pose. So we get to suspend that, which is super fun.
And I'll add to that, doing the double cartwheels and like everything else in Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer, it is a stamina test, because you're singing, you're dancing, you're acting all at the same time, and musical theater. Like that's literally musical theater.
Singing and dancing at the same time.
But it's like high intense like choreo, and you need to be on it. And one thing that we really worked on a lot was like our stamina training, so we could like get those, not be tired at the end of the number, and be able to do the double cartwheels, and also so we could sound good while we sang. So it was just a lot of work. And then on top of that, the lyrics to this is all poetry. So learning like these, like you're reciting poems and like flipping around the stage. It was very daunting at first.
And it's one of the very few times that you're the only 2 on stage. Like Cats is a very, very ensemble number. So it's like that's one of the few times where all eyes are focused on you, versus other times you might be looking at somebody doing this over there. So it is completely true.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a rapid fire here to close us out, to get to the end. So if you could go on for any character for one night, who do you want to play?
I would love to play Bomb Ballerina.
Okay.
I want to be Bustopher Jones and Gus the Theater Cat, because I think I can make it really, really, really funny. And the guy who plays our Bus Gus, he is incredible.
Oh my gosh,
he is so incredible that I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I will play that role one day. Like it just inspired me.
Yeah, you've got some years before you can get to that though. That's the beauty. You got some time. Favorite and least favorite cat from a personality standpoint. Like who do you want to hang out with? Who do you not want to hang out with?
You go.
My like favorite cat in the show is Mungojerrie as Adam, not as Mungojerrie, because I just like always have gravitated towards Mungojerrie. He's just so like mystical to me, and I think that's like so cool. And then for my least favorite, I really do love all of the cats. But I will tell you, Mungojerrie in our production, Mungojerrie and Tumble Brutus, we have fake beef that we created on stage with each other. Like it. So as Mungojerrie, like I'm definitely not rocking with Tumble Brutus, but Aiden, the actor, I love dearly as a friend. But
we're talking purely cats from a personality standpoint.
Yeah.
And you is Adam and Jadyn, not the your other performers. These are which ones like would would bug you as a family member?
Yeah, from a personality standpoint, I would say probably, this is funny, my least favorite cat is probably actually Jenny Anydots, which is funny because obviously as our characters, we love her. She's our mom.
Yeah.
But just from a personality standpoint, I think because I myself am also very type A, we would bump heads a little too much. So that's probably it. Terms of my favorite cat as a personality standpoint, honestly, I love the Mr. Mistopheles character arc, like from Quaxo to Mistopheles, and seeing like him become this like kind of shy but wanting to be like Mungojerrie cat, and how his arc throughout the show builds to him like finding himself. And it always makes me smile, like in the show as Jadyn too, when he sees his magical powers and he brings old Duke back, and seeing our Patrick who plays Armistopheles just get the biggest smile on his face and like hold his paws up and look at them and be like, oh my gosh, I just did that, is a really sweet moment for me as Jadyn watching and being like, oh, that's so sweet. But I also love Gus. I'm such a sucker for Gus.
Love Gus.
Okay. Favorite song in the show?
Skimbo Shanks, and I wasn't even in that number because I was getting in my McCavity drag, if you will.
Yeah.
So like I don't get to be in that number, but I love listening to it. Like I put it on in the car, like still, and I don't even need to practice it. Like I just love that song.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Skimble Shanks is probably my favorite, but I also Peaks and Pollicles, underrated song. It's so, and that might just be because we get to bark at each other in it, but I'm having a blast doing it, and it's just so much fun, especially being in the show and maybe watching it. You're like, what is happening? Why are they dogs now? I'm so confused. But being in it is super fun because we just get to play around and, act like a dog for once on stage.
Yeah.
It's super silly.
Okay. My fun question is, which cat do you think would thrive at Rider University, since you're both there?
Oh, that's
a good question.
Okay, wait.
Who would Robin Lewis love?
Bomb Ballerina.
Yeah.
Because she's like fierce and she has confidence.
And legs for days.
So I think like she would definitely be
would thrive
the teacher's pet at Rider University.
Would.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Most important question. It's coming. You've listened, obviously. So
Yep.
Here I come.
I don't think Grisabelle's the right choice. So I want to hear who is your choice and why.
All right.
I think we both agree.
We agree with you there. Now, in terms of the show, yes, I understand. If Grisabella did not go to the Heaviside Lair, it would be a little bit anticlimactic. Like, she needs to go in order for the plot to kind of complete. But why are we letting her back into the tribe for 2 seconds and then sending her off? She needs at least a year to redeem herself, because as I say, as Jadyn personally, like, sorries don't mean am I allowed to curse on this? I don't know.
Of course.
Sorries don't mean shit unless you act upon it. So I need to see some, you gotta redeem yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You apologize, we welcome you back. I need some actions to prove that you have changed. And now we love Grisabella, and she definitely convinces us with memory to let her back into the tribe. I don't think that is enough to send her off. I personally think it's Gus's time. As I said, I'm a sucker for Gus, and I think he deserves to go. He's been loyal to our tribe, and he's old, and I know it's not just about age sending off to the Heaviside Lair, but I think Gus has earned it.
For me, even though he's the one who picks who goes to the Heaviside Lair, and he is the leader of the tribe, I think that it is old Deuteronomy's time to go.
It's time.
Because he is probably so sick and tired of these cats every ball, like trying to compete with who's gonna die next. He's probably exhausted at this point. He's been to so many Jellicle balls. It's his time to go. And also, let's give Mungojerrie a chance to be the leader.
He's ready.
And he's really, and this year, if we're saying this ball is happening this year, he really proved himself this year. He stepped up to the plate.
He's ready. I agree with you there. He is ready to take over for old dude.
Mm-hmm. I just think he's probably exhausted. So I'm like, let's let him rest.
I agree with both. I agree with both options. I think there's a big Team Gus contingency.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's been more votes for Old Deuteronomy of late than I he gets some, so he's definitely in the top choices.
Yeah, I'm sure. It is difficult because yes, us as Adam and Jadyn have these views, but we always learn, like, in acting class, you need to agree with your character in some aspect. For example, like, if you're playing a villain, you can't think that the villain is wrong. You have to find the positive light in that. So it's been a bit of an exploration, like bringing that into our characters, because our characters do have to accept Grisabella at the end. And Adam and I have a moment when Victoria is about to put her paw in Grisabella's. We look at each other, we give a little nod, like, okay, she's the choice. So obviously that's what our character thinks. Our characters think Jenny Anydots because she's our mom and we want her to have that moment.
Yeah,
but we also do love Gus as well. But we're Mungojerrie or Mungoteazer, as we call them.
Mungoteazer.
They're rooting for Jenny, but by the end, Grisabella does convince us. So we have had to explore that within ourselves as actors. We have to believe Grisabella. That we have to believe that Grisabella is the correct choice in order for us to bring that authenticity, into Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer.
I completely agree. I think, like, this is, as performers, you have to embrace that, but that's the beauty of, like, the art in general. But I'm also trying to convince somebody to do it differently. So maybe Beef and Boards in 2026.
Beef and Boards, if you're listening.
Will let me change one night. They won't, I'm sure. But I'm going to definitely try. So, well, this has been so fun. How can people stay in touch with you on social media and everything? You're early in your career, so this is the beginning of hopefully many Cats moments and other shows you're gonna do.
I really, really want to do Cats, like,
a million
all
times.
The time. Like,
we could do it forever, with lots of icing our bodies, of course. And some physical therapy, some deep tissue massages,
some better makeup wipes than the ones I'm using now. But you can follow me on Instagram at AdamAndrews2, because apparently there's another one.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Jadyn_Kelly54, and on TikTok, Jadyn, or at Jadyn.54. I think that's right.
Awesome.
That sounds right.
We'll
if you
tag
look up
both.
Jadyn Kelly, I'm sure it'll.
We'll tag you on all these too. And then I think this is probably going to come out after your run, but if not, hopefully people have gone to Pitman to see you all. Pat. And then, I mean, honestly, Pitman I was very blown away by everything about the town and the theater and the people there. So they got a great season for anybody that's in the area. So check out all the other things they're doing.
Yeah, their shows are so fun.
And the tech is so good.
The tech is beautiful. The costumes are always well done. The wigs, John Radicasso.
If this comes out before we finish the run, make sure to get your tickets for Pitman, because
get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
Great deal. $40 tickets across the board anywhere you sit in the theater. And it was a fun town. Like, we enjoyed the whole day.
It's so sweet
and quaint.
There was just the other night, in between two of our shows, the food truck festival.
Yeah, that was when we were there.
That was when you were there. We got to go out and explore the food trucks. We did get a little bit of a weird look. I was like, what? Do I have something on my face? Because yes, we did keep the cat makeup on. I was not about to redo that.
I loved it because I was walking up and down, and every few stations I'd see a line, I'd see somebody from your cast in full Cats makeup.
Yes.
And then everyone else just around kind of looking a little bit like, what's going on?
I heard one mom,
it's right there.
This one lady goes, oh, look, honey, they probably have a face painting station. Do you want to go do that?
I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, we don't.
Professionals over here. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us. This has been...
That was a Mungojerrie and Rumpleteazer moment.
Twin telepathy right there. We do that a lot.
Awesome.
But yes, thank you so much for having us. This has been such a dream come true. So wonderful. And we're so lucky to have taken on these characters and that we get to share their fun-loving and mischievous energy with Pitman and anyone else who may come to see.
I love it. Well, thank you both. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Rock Cat Die, the podcast breaking on the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any else's podcast. Follow us on social media at The Rock Cat Die, or check our website, therockcatdie.com.